ready for this? It's showtime. Lights, fans, action. Oh yeah, we've got action. Faster, tougher, more ferocious. There's nothing like League. This is the Betfred Super League.
Got me here. It took a big chunk out of me. Bleeding. It's bleeding. Oh no, it's bleeding. The thing just ripped me ear off. What do you think?
Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the latest edition of Eddie and Stevo, the podcast. 2025 Super League season's underway, and we're here again this year with the help and support of Rugby League's major sponsors, Betfred. Well, as they say, what a weekend with some huge talking points. The good, the bad, and the ugly. First of all, the good. Record crowds, a history-making 0-0 scoreline after 80 minutes, never seen before in Super League. 2 matches settled only by a golden point, and then the bad and the very ugly, a record defeat for Salford at St Helens, and the politics involved in that result. And following on, the damage that result appears to have done to the image of the sport in the fallout that's followed. Well, we'll talk about it all in the next half hour or so, and Stevo's waiting to chat to us from his home in Sydney, Australia, once again. Stevo, let's start with the good. What a match it was at Wigan on Thursday night. What a result for Lee in the end.
Unbelievable. It was just what our game needed. It was tight. The defences were very, very strong. And there's a lot of excitement comes about by realising that a drop goal will win you the game. Of course, it is the first in Super League, but it's not the first in the history of Rugby League. I got on to the man that knows everything, Ian Proctor, and he has not let me down. In 1977, my namesake, Nigel Stevenson, playing for Dewsbury, they beat York 1-0, 77. Workington won 1-0 at Warrington in 1979. And it's been done in Australia as well. A bloke called Kenny Wilson, who I played with at Penrith, a great goal kicker, he dropped a field goal playing for Newtown, and they defeated St George in 1973. So it was excitement plus. It was like as though we'd just reached the summit of Everest.
It was.
Boy, did we roll down as fast as you can.
Well, yeah, we'll come to that in a minute. We're talking about St Helens and Salford there. But, yeah, I mean, you're right. It grabbed everybody's attention, this 0-0. You know, you're right, it's happened before in the history of the game. But Super League making history. 21-odd thousand there at Wigan as well. Biggest first night crowds, as I say, for the start of a brand new season. Who said Thursdays aren't popular, by the way? Wigan, the only team Lee had never beaten in Super League. Their first away win against Wigan in 42 years. It was compelling stuff, Stevo. People love to see the ball thrown around. They love to see great tries being scored. But wow, the defence from both sides, amazing for the first night.
Yeah, well, a lot of the older people, like you and I, Eddie, that we can think back, because I think our game over the years has got to, very similar to Australian Rugby League, is that defence, defence, defence. I've nothing against that, as long as the scoreline gets to a, shall we say, excitable moment. And that's what it was. But it just indicates to you that the modern day coaches are more intent to make defence the key factor.
Well, somebody once upon a time said defence wins matches. Gareth O'Brien, by the way, no stranger to match-winning decisive drop goal moments, is he? 2016, the £1 million game for Salford against Hull KI, dropped a goal from the halfway line to keep Salford in the Super League. I mean, he's a great goal kicker, isn't he, with the ball in hand? He really is.
Yeah, well, it's, all teams really should have someone who can definitely do that, because you need a player. And Gareth O'Brien, talk about being cool under pressure. He's probably one of the best.
Fantastic kick. Fantastic kick. Did you see, by the way, before the game, the pundits on Sky asked which of the top 6 of last year they thought would drop out of the top 6 this year? Almost all of them went for Lee. Now, at the end of last season, when Lee made it to the 6, Derek Beaumont, Lee's owner, produced a humble pie for all the pundits to eat because he'd written off his team last year. Maybe all the pundits were a bit peckish on Thursday. They want some more. Or, Stevo, and here's the nub for me, did it have something to do with the fact that Derek said a couple of weeks previously that the game should dump the contract with Sky and go it alone? Or am I being a bit cynical here?
With a capital C. Yes, you are. But the point had been made. And look, it was a great game. And I was excited about the fact that we've got off for a great launch. And as I say, there I am, we're all up on the pedestal, and somebody comes along and kicks it down, and we all fall. Yeah. We've gone from superb to embarrassment.
Yes, we have. And we're talking about the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that Salford went to St. Helens on Saturday. They fielded a much weakened side because of all sorts of political reasons surrounding their state of affairs financially. They were in special measures earlier on this year. They were in special measures towards the back end of last year. They asked for a sub of their payments from central government, if you like, to get them to Christmas and beyond and get them to the starting line in Super League. We were told last week that there was a new owner moving in. He'd cleared all the debts. He'd paid the money and everything was hunky-dory. Bang, out they come. They only named 3 subs on the bench, so 16 players. All, or just about all the players, were academy and reserve teamers. And guess what? 82 points to 0. Down they go. 15 tries. St. Helens scored. And the fallout, Stevo, has been unbelievable since then. We've gone from, as you say, top of Everest to the bottom of the tree.
Embarrassing, as I said before. And as far as I'm concerned, is it because the club threw the toys out of the pram? That could be the case. I'm not right sure. But the Rugby Football League, Super League, why did they allow them to get this opportunity to embarrass not only themselves, but our game? If they had not complied with all the rules and regulations, then Super League, Rugby Football League should have said, you cannot play this game. You have to forfeit the 2 points. And that perhaps would have appeased quite a lot of people who paid a lot of money to go and watch that game. Well, it wasn't a game. It was a riot, one-way riot, which was an embarrassment, simple as that. And not only that, often points difference can be vital. But, boy, St. Helens have got off to a flying start.
Well, they have. They're 82 points to the good. And, I mean, it's a nonsense even to think about league tables after one match of the season. But they're riding high at the top because of that points difference. It was no surprise that Saints won. And the biggest winning margin in Super League history came along. But the RFL have now decided to take action, Stevo. They've released the following statement. The RFL have today contacted Salford Red Devils to confirm that a compliance investigation will be launched to consider the circumstances around their squad selection for Saturday's game at St. Helens and whether they have brought the sport into disrepute. And Salford have got the next 7 days in which to respond. I mean, I think it's an open and shut case. The game has been brought into disrepute, but who's to blame? Is the league to blame? Is Salford to blame? Is Super League to blame? You're right. The game should never have taken place. It was on the BBC, Stevo. It was also on Sky Sports. Would have been a huge embarrassment to pull the plug.
You can't tell me that they couldn't have gone and televised another match. And why did they hang around? Look, it's no good after after the horse has bolted, saying we're going to investigate this. Why wasn't it investigated when Salford came out and said, yes, we've got someone who's quite willing to write off all the debts, this, that, and the other?
What I can't understand, Stevo, is in the Midlands Hurricanes Cup tie last week, fellas like Brearley, Masters on his debut, Hankinson, Nenny McDonald, Nicarima, Atkins, Singleton, Omenroyd, they were all Sangare. They were all involved in that match in the Challenge Cup. The game on Saturday in the Super League, there was only 4 of them who were involved in the 17. The rest were all youngsters. I mean, I just can't understand why that has to be. Allegedly, they produced a team sheet one day and had to rewrite the team sheet the next. I think Paul Rowley said that on the television only on Saturday before the game, and he said he'll have to take the flak because of what's gone on. I mean, it's crazy what's happened. It's crazy.
Of course it's crazy, and don't worry, he'll take the flak. But you can't just keep pointing the finger at Salford and the coach. You've got to say to yourself, well, what about the governing body? Why didn't they, before the game, why didn't they say you haven't complied to what we wanted? So therefore, the game should not have taken place. And as you say, to make matters worse, was that they did virtually have a full side against a lower team in the Challenge Cup. Who's running this game? Obviously, not many people have much idea.
A lot of parties have contributed to this. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it is a sad state of affairs that here we are, end of the first week, wonderful start, as I say, record crowds, wonderful matches, and we're talking about all this nonsense. Let's hope, can we keep our fingers crossed, that things will be sorted out before the second round of matches. Let's look at the matches that were played, and there were some great games, as well as the one on Thursday night. You wait 4 months, Stevo, for a season to start, then you get 2 golden point results in 24 hours. Hull Kingston Rovers, Mikey Lewis with the decisive strike, but hey, Castleford ran them mightily close, didn't they? They led 12-8 at half-time, did Castleford.
I thought it was fantastic, mainly due to the fact that nearly everybody have just said, well, the Tigers are gone. Simple as that. But it was amazing. And of course, Mikey Lewis just cannot keep himself out of the limelight. He's a great player. And, with Castleford leading 12-8 at half-time, maybe they had a pretty good opportunity to say, well, we'll improve, and they could take the 2 points. But when it matters, you need someone extraordinary footballer. And Mikey Lewis, to me, is one of those players. Every time he gets a ball, you think, oh, something's going to happen. It reminds me in many ways of some of the golden oldies in the past, Eddie. I won't mention them or whatever, but you need a player like that that can pull something out of the bag.
And he's the man of steel, of course, and that's possibly one of the reasons why he is man of steel. I mean, Danny Maguire, he got so excited on the sideline. It's a real boost for him, even though they lost, because they lost to Bradford in the Challenge Cup last week. And, of course, they're now out of the race for Wembley. Tex Hoy missed a penalty in that game that would have levelled the match in normal time, but he missed it. Similar happened at the weekend against Hull KR. I think Cass might need to have a look at their goal-kicking department, don't you?
Oh, well, look, it's after the horse again has bolted. It's one of those situations that it's a difficult thing. I only ever attempted once in my professional career to go for a field goal, and it came off the side of my boot, and the winger picked it up and scored in the corner, and everyone was congratulating me, and it was just an awful kick. It was just a complete and utter fluke. It's a lot of pressure. To play first grade is enough pressure on its own, but to have the responsibility of the kicking game adds to that.
Indeed. Well, Castle can be proud enough of their efforts. Hull Kingston Rovers will be delighted. In the south of France, Hull, after their miserable 2024, they got off to a flying start against the Catalans. They led 18-0 at half-time, eventually won 24 points to 4. You know, it's always a tough place to go, Perpignan, isn't it? But you said last year John Cartwright, the new head coach, would turn the black and whites around, and he did. He did in this one.
Look, John is a qualified coach. He knows he's had many, many years been involved with some of the top teams in Australia, but more so as well is been under the tutelage of some great coaches down under. And that helps. Look, he doesn't mess around. He knows what he wants, and he won't budge from that. And when you get a coach like that, you soon realize that I can't cheat at training. I can't say, I've got a bit of a leg pull or whatever. You know, coaches like John Cartwright say, well, I'm not picking you then if you have a problem. He knows exactly what's needed, and he knew exactly what the black and whites needed.
And they've got a few bob behind them now as well with their new owner, some new faces as well. Great start for them. Steve McNamara, Stevo. Pressure already. They were unconvincing against Halifax in the Cup last week, and now this. That's a big defeat at home for them.
Well, I think any coach that's struggling, and I feel that McNamara doesn't have the same quality of squads which he's had in the past, and it's going to be a very, very hard season for the French outfit. Of course, they do have the advantage of the other teams have to fly down there, etc. and so forth, which gives them the opportunity to take advantage. But every coach that loses each week is under pressure, Eddie.
Well, Steve McNamara and Catalan are up at Warrington this coming weekend at the newly named, for one match only, the Luke Littler Stadium, because Luke Littler, apparently the world darts champion, is going to be leading the teams out, bringing all sorts of glitter and glamour to the game at Warrington on Friday night when the Catalan Dragons turn up. It should be a really good night.
It's a great idea, Eddie. And Warrington, they've got a great coach now. They've also got a good fan base. They've also got good players. But they don't just sit back. You know, to come out with something different like this, it's the publicity. I mean, you know, Littler's the world darts champion. And why shouldn't they utilize it?
He's a massive fan of the game, massive fan of Warrington. Lives in the town.
And I'm a massive fan of him. I mean, at a young age, I mean, it's phenomenal.
Leeds against Wakefield Saturday. Leeds have got their old problems from 2024. They don't appear to be disappearing anytime soon. Wakefield, you know, full value for the win, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've got a lot to prove, haven't they?
And Darryl has as well. Yeah, Darryl's got a lot to prove, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that Leeds has, lost Seaver for the full season. But there's a little bit of news from down under is that a guy called Ethan Clark Wood,
yes,
is on a one year contract. He was training with the Gold Coast Titans actually in the build up in regards to signing him up on a full time contract. But the green light was given to him, and I wish him all the best. I don't know much about this lad. but the talk is that is quite a good player.
Yeah, well, let's wait and see when he plays for Leeds. I'm sure it won't be too long, because we need a great Leeds, don't we, in the competition? We always say that. We need the two whole clubs to be doing well. Wigan, Saints, Warrington, the rest. You know, the more the merrier. The bigger the teams, the better we are. And Darryl Powell, you know, I think I heard it was the Wakefield's first win against Leeds at Headingley in 6 years. I hope he does well, because he left Warrington under a little bit of a cloud, didn't he?
Oh yes, I mean. Every time I go over to see you, and because you live in that wonderful place called Warrington, and every time I used to go over there, they'd all say, you know, why have we got a Yorkshireman coaching at our side? Well, they've got another Yorkshireman, and it's from Dewsbury.
I know. He refers to you a number of times. You know, you're a great hero of his. Do you know that? I can't understand why. I mean, I try and put him on the straight and narrow, but he absolutely rejoices in the fact that you and he are Dewsbury boys. There you go.
Well, I knew the family, Eddie, and
I know you did.
You know, they've done well, haven't they? Boy, the Burgess brothers, they've been outstanding, and they're still outstanding, and they will continue to make a name for themselves in rugby league.
Well, he's a great character, is Sam, and of course he got his brother on the back foot in the Huddersfield game on Sunday, the last of the 6 matches that were being played. Apparently, there was a challenge that once upon a time Tom challenged Sam to a bungee jump. Do a bungee jump. Well, Sam turned the tables on him this weekend and said, whoever wins this match on Sunday, the loser, either Tom or Sam, would have to do the bungee jump. Well, looks like Tom is going to have to bungee jump, because Warrington dug in and they got the victory at Huddersfield. It wasn't a classic game, but Warrington showed a bit of mettle.
Well, I'll put it this way. I think if you look at a modern day rugby league contract, that you are supposed to avoid such things as bungee jumping. I couldn't get it out there. Jeez, I need a new top set. I don't get that sort of. It's wonderful for brothers to have a shot at each other, etc., and so forth. But for the sake of a good player, you know, don't even risk it.
He'll do it at the end of the season. He'll do it at the end of the season.
Well, yes, yeah, or maybe do it when he's finished playing.
Might be a good idea. But I mean, rivalry like that between Tom and Sam, that puts bums on seats, Stevo, doesn't it? All that sort of stuff.
Of course it is. Look, like at Warrington, with the young darts player.
Yeah.
There'll be people who will go to watch that game that probably never been to watch Warrington play, but they know about this young kid and they want to celebrate it. It's wonderful PR.
It is.
I hope they get a full house. They should do. You know, they're going to see a great team, but on top of that, they're going to see a world champion in another sport.
I wonder if they'll have a dartboard on the centre spot. I don't think you'd be able to see. You wouldn't be able to see it from the back of the stand, but you know what I mean.
Well, they can't when you go to all the arenas. That when they first dart, it has to be up on the stage, because it's like a postage stamp on.
It is. Well, Sky will be there. They could probably put it on the big screen. I think they've updated their screen at Warrington as well. By the way, I think it's a super duper big screen now at Warrington. I believe so.
I think it's a great idea, and you know, maybe the people that run our game, maybe they should perhaps sort of just dig deep and say, "Oh, what a good idea."
We had the first weekend of the new rules, Stevo. The first weekend of captain's challenges. I think I'm right in saying not one of them was successful all the way through the weekend. Certainly the ones I saw on telly, they were way off beam. They were.
Oh, listen, it's. I think it's like a bit of a disease over many years. The Australians do it. So
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good idea that we try it out. I'm not saying that you should stop trying to make the game better. I mean, we've discussed it before. If you touch the corner post in flight, then it was no try. Well, they changed that, and look at some of the greatest tries in the history of our game have been produced. But you think, how on earth has he got that ball down? And it just adds to the attraction of the greatest game of all.
Absolutely, it is. We talked about all the new rules that were coming in last week, and we had a comment about our comments on YouTube from a guy called Matt Berry. He put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, and he says, this is Matt Berry's view, Stevo, rugby league has become far too technical, a bit like the NFL. What we should do, says Matt, is not make any law changes for a few years and give them all time to settle in and see how it goes and see that they actually work. What do you think?
Not a bad idea, but I'm all for changing a rule if it's to our benefit.
If it needs
but
it.
sometimes if it's not a benefit and it proves to be no good, then scrap it. You don't have to wait until end of the season and we're changing that, we're changing this. If it's not working, then kick it out straight away. Let's not wait until the season's end.
No. Yeah, it's a good
and
point.
It happens all the time, Eddie, in regards to the fact, well, that was a mess, wasn't it? And blah, blah, blah. But that same mess, why put up with it all the way through the full season? Just say, we've come to the conclusion after 4 games that it's not working, so we've dropped it. Here,
Yep.
Well done.
Yeah, get rid of it if it's no good. Can I have a moan? Would you mind if I turned turtle on you and moaned a bit about the television coverage on Sky Sports Plus? Now, this is a streaming service which relies on the internet signal, I understand. Do you know anything about this, Wi-Fi and internet, Steve? Have you got anything to, that you can offer in this conversation?
Let me think for a minute.
No,
No,
I didn't think so. Well, look, my signal's pretty strong, but there were bumps and bangs throughout the game between Leeds and Wakefield. The sound quality wasn't great. The video referee pictures were awful. And at the end, we lost everything. The pictures, the commentary, that went before it. The picture returns. Wakefield were winning 14-8 when the pictures failed. They were only winning by 2 points when the pictures returned. So we didn't see the final try. And we didn't see the end of the game. Apparently, I'm not alone in this, by the way, enduring these sort of problems. Hopefully, Stevo, it'll sort itself out. But I don't think it wasn't my internet that was the problem. I think there was something going wrong at the ground itself. They've got to sort this out.
well, probably they will. But it would help, Eddie, if you paid your subscription.
How do you think I'm watching Sky Sports Plus if I don't pay my subscription? It's costing me a fortune.
Listen, I've been to your place a few times. What's that big thing out in the garden that you said was FREE? Free.
It's gone.
I said, what is it?
That's all gone. I'm paying like everybody. I'm paying a fortune. I'm taking a mortgage out. Anyway, that's the moan. Over and done with. Come on, Sky, sort it out. We won't need to worry about Sky for the Challenge Cup, Stevo, because Sky haven't got it. They never have for a long, long time now. The draw has been made for the last 16. Widnes Warrington, mouth-watering. Salford Bradford. Saints Leeds, the second successive time that those two have met in the last 16 of the Cup. Hull KR Oldham, Lee Batley, Catalan Featherstone, Huddersfield Wakefield and Wigan against Hull FC. A repeat of that fantastic 1985 Cup final. It's a good draw, this, isn't it? Really good.
It certainly is. It's I'm glad to see that there has been a few upsets. Okay, we don't have as many as what they have in the FA Cup in soccer.
Oh, don't mention that. Plymouth and Liverpool has broken my heart. Don't mention that.
Listen. The one good thing about it is that it offers maybe a lesser known club to have a little bit of glory. A lot of people say it's a waste of time, etc., and so forth. The one thing that does irritate me, and not because you and I used to work with Sky, is the fact that why can't Sky have the Challenge Cup?
Well, there's another question that the game will have to answer in the next 7 days. I've just looked at the fixture list, by the way, for this coming weekend. How surprising that Hull FC entertain Wigan Warriors on Friday night at the same time as they open the gates at the Luke Littler Stadium for Wolves and the Dragons on Friday night. So there you go. Some big matches coming up this weekend. I noticed that the NRL is, well, it's not underway yet, but you've got some pre-season matches taking place, haven't you? Any news, gossip to finish up with from what's happening down there at the moment?
Well, the St. Helens fans won't be too happy about this because Lewis Dodd made his debut.
Oh, of course.
And it is estimated to be on 2.1 million Aussie dollars over 3 years. And putting it mildly, he had a poor game. Now, it wasn't a full first team. In these trial games, they do a lot of bringing in youngsters, etc., and so forth. So he wasn't playing with a three-quarter line that was sprinkled with stars. It was sprinkled with upcoming stars. But I watched the game, and I'm afraid he looked a little bit lost. I think he'll be a lot better, obviously, when he gets into playing with top quality players around him. But it wasn't the best debut that I've ever seen.
Well, on that sort of money, Stevo, he's going to be under the spotlight, isn't he? And of course, is it fair to say he got the contract because of what he did in the World Club Challenge, winning it with the drop goal season before last? Or is that a bit unfair?
Well, yes, I think that is a bit unfair because he played well for St. Helens.
We did.
Look, Wayne Bennett has had to take him on board because he's now taken over at Souths. If there's one coach in the world that can improve any rugby league player, you'd have to say that Wayne Bennett is the man. And a lot of people are getting on the back of Lewis Dodd and saying that it was rubbish and this, that, and the other. And I'm just thinking to myself, hang on, they don't become good players and then automatically play rubbish. Everybody has a bad game, etc. This was his first run out. And look, Wayne Bennett realizes that it's going to take a little while for Dodd to fit into, how can we put it, a more defensive pattern when they play games in Australia. Manly had a team, only 3 first graders were involved. All the teams do that in these trials, give youngsters an opportunity. Manly, they were just far too good. They were excellent, and I thought it was a bit cruel to sort of just single out Lewis Dodd as the one that was the reason. It wasn't. Manly played exceptionally well.
Well, let's hope the lad proves all the doubters wrong. It's too early. A lot of Australians come over here and struggle, and they might have even greater pedigree than Lewis. You know, they come over and struggle for a few weeks, and all of a sudden then they light the competition up. It's a tough old game, Stevo, as you so often have said. Right, that's it. There's another week done and dusted. We're going to have to do it all again in 7 days' time. You ready for that?
I'm always ready for it, Eddie. And let's hope, and I've got fingers and I've got toes crossed, that we don't have another embarrassing weekend like last weekend.
Fingers crossed. We live in hope, Stevo, and we hope to talk to you same time next week. Take care of yourself and just keep that sunblock on.
All the best, top man.
And you, Stevo. Take care.